And now.
That's the middle shot. He scores! Slipped it off to Wyatt Matthews. He's in! Eagles take the lead!
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Welcome to Sports Talk, the number one sports podcast in the Philadelphia area. Come on out here, Brodes. This episode of Sports Talk with Brodes is brought to you by Sports R Philly. Sports R Philly contains a wide variety of great blogs across the Philadelphia area. You can follow them on Twitter at Sports R Philly or check out their website, www.sportsrphilly.com.
What is going on, everybody? I forgot to put the mic in front of my face. We are here for another episode of Sports Talk with Brodes. Coming in on episode 18. You can follow me on Twitter at sportsandbrodes, or you can call in to the show, which I have a caller for today, which is nice because it's been a while. Use your voice recording app. Send it to sportsandbrodes@gmail.com. Coming into today's show, I have a little time to reflect on the Eagles. And I loved everything I saw. I truly did love everything that I saw. So out of the 70 play calls that Doug Peterson had to throw out there, he had one hiccup. That's not bad. I will take those odds every single game. So to me, that's an A+ on Doug Peterson's play calling performance. I mean, it's so easy for me to say once again that Carson Wentz looked amazing, but he truly did. Looking into the future here at week 2, it kind of scares me. This Kansas City game still kind of scares me, but I am not writing it off because it's week to week in the NFL, and we had enough great looking plays and drives that would make me say, we're not out of it. I'm not just going to say that Kansas City is going to stumble all over us. I do think that they're better than us, though, if you look at their overall squad and the way they performed against New England on Thursday night. But I also feel that you got to think, they're going into Foxborough, who just won the Super Bowl. They have to sit there and watch some horrible, what's the word I'm looking for? The parade they put on for hanging up the banners and all the trophies they walked out with the Super Bowl. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. The ceremony, that's it. The ceremony. They got to sit through that. So they're just amped up. Like, listen, week 1, here we are playing the team that just won it. And they came out and performed. And, you know, the Patriots, people were saying, 16-0, 16-0. They probably were like, we're gonna beat Kansas City. Well, they had a good wake-up call. Will Kansas City come out the same way, fired up, ready to go against the Eagles in week 2? I don't know. I don't know if it's the same drive for them. But it is their first home game. And you know the home games can really get the boys going. So you just never know, though. It is week to week in this league. I feel that we have a chance. Do I think we're going to win? I always say no because I don't want to get my hopes up and then get crushed. But I wouldn't be surprised if Carson Wentz throws for 3 touchdowns, 350 yards, and 0 interceptions. I would like to see a little bit more out of Alshon. Now, it's only been 1 game, and I understand that. But the hype was real for him, and, you know, he's going to get more coverage than anyone else because they know how good he is. They're going to put another safety on him. They're going to double team him, so that just opens up the field more for other receivers. I mean, Nelson Aguilar looked amazing in the slot. He really did. I was so surprised. Good for him, though. See, he has the talent. It's not that he doesn't have the talent. He was just messed up in the head. You know, he was all mental. And coming into maybe like his third year now, I believe it is, I think he's getting the nerves out of him. It's, hey, let me just go out and play ball now. He understands. He knows the city is behind him. I mean, I've never I've never seen a first-round pick do so poorly in his first couple years and the city just back him up like that. When it was coming to the open practices, we had people cheering for him, not making fun of him cheering, like not sarcasm cheering, but when he made a play in practice, people were up there giving him confidence. I've never seen that ever happen out of a first-round pick that just didn't get the job done. I've never seen such a thing. But anyway, my excitement level for the Eagles is definitely there. I was very happy and pleased with Week 1. But it's Week 1, and there's 16 technically other weeks to, see where this team goes. I mean, last year we started off 3-0, and we end up going 7-9. So we go 4-9 in the rest of the season. If we lose to Kansas City and beat the Giants the following week, and we are 2-1 after 3, hey, I am very pleased. I mean, I would be very happy with that start of the first 3. But that being said, we're going to go into those Monday night games because I recorded the day of those Monday night games, so I didn't have the time to actually talk about it. You had the Saints and the Vikings. I don't know, man. Adrian Peterson was getting on Sean Payton on the sidelines because he wasn't getting many touches. And that's just, I couldn't believe it. I mean, he's a veteran guy. I believe Sean Payton even stated before, though, that a lot of backs are going to get some touches. It's not just going to be one man. But Adrian Peterson thinks at his age he's still got it. I think he's a good utility back, but I don't know if he's still going to be getting... He's not like he still thinks he's who he was in Minnesota 6 years ago. He's not. He's not that kind of player. But, to himself, he's not going to tell him that. The Vikings ended up winning 29-19. Dalvin Cook looked so good. And the Eagles could have had him over picking Sidney Jones in the second round. I don't know what Sidney Jones is going to turn out to be. Apparently he was a top 10 product with just an Achilles injury. So we took the first round top 10 product in the second round, thought it was a snag. Not saying it isn't. We don't know yet. We have to find out and see, but just saying. To see Dalvin Cook put up the numbers that he did with 127 yards for running on 22 carries and a 33-yard run for his longest. I mean, he looked good. Diggs, 93 yards on 7 receptions. He also looked good. See, I picked him up in fantasy last year. He didn't do much for me, so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get him this year. And he looked solid. But it's funny, because Sam Bradford, I shouldn't hate him. He didn't do anything wrong here. It was really just Chip Kelly. Sam Bradford really didn't do anything wrong. What did he do? He came out here, he played, he did his thing. Whatever, we ship him off to Minnesota. But for some reason, every time I see him play, it's, man, I really don't like him. I don't like him. It bothers me when he does well. And it makes no sense because he truly didn't do anything wrong to the city of Philadelphia. It was really just that Chip Kelly. It makes me want to throw up saying that name. I can't believe that happened. Imagine if the Birds still had Shady, Deshaun. I mean, we're talking like a top 5 back in the league running with this offense right now. The second game was Broncos-Chargers. Now, the Broncos came on top 24-21. And the Chargers are like, I saw a stat, 1-9 in one-possession games going back to last season. That's no good. Is that a coaching staff problem? I mean, even when it comes to basketball, they say if it's a one-possession game and you lose, you can put it on the coach. Is it the same for football? I don't know. But I needed a big night out of some of the boys. Melvin Gordon had 54 yards running on 18 carries. He did have a touchdown, though, and I needed that. I was down 23 points, I stated last episode, going into that Monday night, and I lost by like 2. Emmanuel Sanders didn't do much for me either. Phillip Rivers threw for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns, but had an interception. That game was kind of weird. On the call, it was one of the Ryan brothers and a woman on the call, and there's nothing against that. It was just, I'm so used to hearing like NBC and Jim Nantz, you know what I mean? Like, I just always hear the big names on NFL games, and it was just like unique and different, and it just didn't have the same feel for me. It was kind of weird. Plus, it was like 1 in the morning over here on the East Coast. But I mean, it makes sense because you can't have all these guys everywhere. But it was just different to hear. But yeah, so Denver comes up on top there, and then we have Thursday's game tomorrow, actually. Man, it's Wednesday already, huh? We have the Texans and the Bengals. They always put garbage games on Thursdays, I feel. The Bengals got shut out last game. It wasn't even close. And I do like watching the Texans. They actually named Deshaun Watson the starter for this game, so that would be cool to watch. I mean, I'm definitely going to be watching. The interest is there for me. I watch every game. I really do. Even if it's a Thursday and it's a crappy game, I'm watching. It's football. I can't not watch. I can't not watch. But I'm going to take my first caller because why not? So, Hassett, you are on Sports Talk with Brodes.
What's up, Brodes? It's Hass out here in Albany. Week 1's over. Monday night games are over. Tuesday afternoon here, I want to recap. I listened to your Monday episode. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about the Monday night games. And basically what I'm taking away from week 1 is that all the quarterbacks who are kind of in that elite class or lower elite class and like 36, 37 and older, all look their age, including Tom Brady, including Drew Brees. And now I know it's week 1, and the last 3 times the Patriots lost week 1, they won the Super Bowl and all that. But from just week 1, they all look like a bunch of 40-year-olds playing a young man's game. That being said, I'm not going to lead that into the Dallas Cowboys. Just kidding, I definitely am. The Dallas Cowboys getting over the Giants hump. Looking good. No sophomore slump. My boy started shaky, finishing good. My boy Dak. I want to hear what you have to say about the quarterbacks and maybe how that is going to shape out this season. Do you think we see that upper tier of the quarterbacks who are older start to decline, or do you think that was just week 1?
Thank you for the call, Hassett. Now, first off, we will go with your Cowboys-Giants point. Now, I've been saying that the Giants have the best receiving core in the league, and I see them winning the division. I know it's only week 1, but man, did they look horrible. So, don't give your Cowboys too much credit. The Browns could have beat the Giants on that night. Seriously, the way the Browns played against the Steelers, they could have easily beaten the Giants that night. Just wait until the Birds see them. I think the Birds and the Cowboys are going to be the ones fighting for the top, considering the way they both played on week 1. But the Giants did not look good. Now, I get it. Odell Beckham was not there. So that's a huge factor. But I don't want to talk about the Cowboys because it makes me sick. I don't do that. But regarding your point on the quarterbacks and their aging, I mean, they'll be okay. Aaron Rodgers, I even stated that game was boring. I mean, it was truly boring. But I think they'll be okay. It's week 1. They're getting back into the flow of things. Tom Brady's been doing this for how many years? He is getting screwed when it comes to his receivers. I mean, Edelman, and he's losing his weapons. He's truly losing his weapons, and that comes into play. He is 40, though, so he is on a little bit of a older level, but his IQ is still there. He's definitely declining. It's ridiculous to say he's not. I think he'll be okay this year, though. When it comes to this particular year, I don't know how much more he's got left in the tank, which it seems like he'll never stop, but obviously at some point it's going to start declining even more severely. But for this year, I think him, Rodgers, some of these older quarterbacks, Drew Brees, I watched some of that. He didn't look awful. I think these guys will be okay for this year. And another thing is, even with Drew Brees, that team is bad. He doesn't have Brandon Cooks anymore. I think his best receiver is, like Ted Ginn? The guys that we're talking about right now kind of have no weapons except for Aaron Rodgers, and that was just like a boring, crappy game. But Seattle has a great defense, so you can say that because their defense is so strong, it was tough for him to make some better plays. So when we're talking about Brady and Breeze, they don't have any receiving right now, so they'll adjust to it. They're veterans. They have the IQ. They understand, and they'll start getting back with each other and realizing where their receivers will be, and they just need more practice. And yeah, so to answer, I think it's just the week one blues, if you will, if that even makes sense. But I also had another question come in on Twitter. You can DM me questions. My Twitter is at sportsandbrodes. I take all questions. This is from at dmoyer30. Do the Giants panic after a tough loss against Dallas because of the toughness of the division? Where do you see them finishing in the season with this division now? The hype on week one is so real for everyone. Now, I know he's a Giants fan, so now he is a little concerned with everything because of week one, but who wouldn't be? Because if that was the Birds, I'd be a little upset too. But like I said, Odell Beckham was not in. That is a huge factor. Like I was talking about Alshon, the safeties come over and help that side a little bit. Same thing with Odell. That Odell just being out there creates so much room for other receivers. I don't think it's time to get too worried yet. I was actually thinking about this. Now going back to Hassett's question. I know I'm jumping back around, but Eli Manning's kind of getting up there too, and he didn't look that great either, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, going back to the Giants, I don't think it's time to panic yet. It was ugly. But I think they'll figure it out in the long run. This is how I know I am getting too crazy about the week one hype, though, because when you ask me that question and where they're going to fall in the division, I am going with after the Birds and after the Cowboys. So see, look, now I already have the Eagles winning the division. This is ridiculous, and I have to calm myself down because this is how I get upset. Seriously, it's just like that. It truly is just like that. I love the Eagles. Like, how can you not? So when I got my tattoo of my 4-for-4 sports, I got the Flyers, Eagles, Phillies, Sixers tattooed on my upper arm. And I get from some family members, what are you going to do if you ever move? What are you going to do if you got to work somewhere else in a different state? Like, do you think I'm just going to not love the Eagles because I live in a different state? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. Why would I ever give up on the hometown squads? I never will. Are you serious? That just pisses me off. Doesn't even make sense. But let's see what kind of big games we got going on for this week. I think the Eagles-Chiefs at 1 is a pretty great game. It might even be the best 1 o'clock game there is. You also have the Vikings and the Steelers, which is a very good team. That Vikings defense is sick. I love watching their defense. The Cowboys play the Broncos at 4:25, and then Packers-Falcons is the Sunday night game, which is also entertaining. Hopefully, a little bit more offensive, great plays this week. Not that last week was bad. Football is football, and it's great no matter what, but it was a little bit on the slower end, I would say. So moving into some college football this weekend, some pretty interesting games. You got Florida home against Tennessee, which is a 23-24 matchup. You got Ohio State now ranked 8. They dropped, obviously, but they dropped to 8. Still in the top 10. They're obviously not going to just rip them apart and make them fall all the way down after losing to an Oklahoma solid squad. Louisville Clemson. Lamar Jackson going up against the national champions. That's probably the best game of the night. That is the best game of the night for sure. And that's going to be good. Louisville has a squad, man. But it all relies on Lamar Jackson. Dabo Swinney came out and was saying how unbelievable this man truly is. And he's going to be tough to stop. You got to think that these coaches in Clemson are going to be studying film from like 12 to 12, 24 hours a day for the next 7 days to figure this out. Well, at this point, it's already Wednesday, so they got the rest of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to figure it out. It's not going to be easy. This man might win the Heisman again. If not, that Penn State back is very solid. But going to the college football, back to the college football, Maryland, baby. We got University of Central Florida. Let's go 3-0. So hype. Now, it says it's going to pour on Saturday. So I'm pissed. Now, it depends, though. Oh, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It changed. I'm so hype. The game is at noon. I'm getting my tickets now, right after I'm done recording this. I'm going to the game. I got to get myself a Maryland hoodie, a Maryland jersey, a Maryland football hat, Maryland shorts, maybe some socks. Why not? 3-0 we're going to be. I don't know, though. Central Florida's a pretty solid squad. Here I go with my optimism on everything. Oh, just like the Eagles. Now I got to start downplaying my Maryland squad. Oh, we're not going to be good. Oh, what's that? 8-0? Just making sure my heart doesn't break at any point. We might even win the national championship. Maybe for basketball, though. I will definitely be going to some college hoops game. For sure this year. I think I said this before, but I went to one last year, and Melo Trimble hit a buzzer. It wasn't a true buzzer beater. There was like .2 left on the clock, but it was solid. An awesome time. It truly was an awesome time. So I just want to throw out some other things now. I saw this stat that Ben Roethlisberger has the most wins in the Browns stadium. Over any Browns starting quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger has the most career wins in Browns stadium. That's how brutal the Browns have been. Like, I truly think it sucks to be a Philadelphia sports fan. We are on the uprise. But the Browns, I don't know what I would do. I don't think I could deal with something like that ever in my life. I was thinking about it. I would never pay money to go to their games. I don't know if they were sold out week 1 against the Steelers, but there were a lot of fans there. I love the Eagles, but if you're telling me they're putting out a 1-15 squad, a 2-14 squad, I am not paying my money to go watch that at the stadium. It is just not worth it. And that's not called being a bad fan. That's called being a loyal fan and showing the people who are in upper management that I love this team so much and I do not respect what you are putting out on the field. It's like me taking a stand is what it's like. Now, how about this? Danny Woodhead is out 6 to 8 weeks. That dude gets hurt every year, man. What a liability. I would never pick him up in fantasy. Ever. It's a shame, man. Every year this guy gets hurt for some significant amount of time. And we are talking week 1. The dude is out 6 to 8 weeks. And on top of that, David Johnson. Getting wrist surgery. Man, talk about a blow to a team. Talk about a blow to fantasy owners. I mean, my league, he went first overall in both leagues, out with wrist surgery. That's crazy. He's such a dynamic back, such a key piece to an offense. It's a shame. And I feel like there's another injury that happened, a pretty major injury, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, which is a shame. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there isn't. But going back to that Cleveland thing on how much the Browns suck, how about how great the Indians are doing? They got 20. They play again actually at 12 o'clock, which is in 40 minutes. They're at 20 wins in a row. I was thinking about this. They win 10 more in a row. They haven't lost in a month of games. I know it might have even been a month because of they played like 5 out of 7 days or whatever, but if you're talking 30 wins, how do you just like forget? They might forget how to lose. They forget that feeling. You go to the ballpark every day, it's like we're going to win this game. 20 games. It's not even like they're on like this sick stretch of like 17-3 and 20. These dudes are 20-0. I couldn't even imagine. And on the other side, the Dodgers, who lost 11 straight, finally won last night to snap the streak. They went from 33% chance to win the World Series to the second best odds, tied with the Nationals at like 17. They dropped off big time. And the Indians are favorite. And keeping up with baseball, now that I just randomly got on the topic, but hey, why not? We cover all sports here. The NL Central right now is ridiculous. I keep going back and forth talking about, oh, the Cubs are going to win it. Oh, wait, never mind. I think St. Louis is going to win it. Nah. St. Louis is on a bad streak. The Cubs are going to win it. St. Louis is 2 games back right now. Out of the last 18 games. So it's St. Louis and Milwaukee. St. Louis is 2 games back. Milwaukee is 2.5 games back. The Chicago Cubs, in their next 18 games, 11 of them are against these 2 teams. So this division right now is truly up for grabs. And it is scary because of Arizona and Colorado leading the wild card spot from the NL West. So this is going to be an exciting stretch. I am so pumped, truly pumped, to see what goes on with this baseball wild card race, division race. And I'm just ecstatic for it. I haven't been this excited for a baseball postseason in a really long time. It's crazy to see some of these teams, man. It really is. And I talk about it a lot, but it's beautiful. It's awesome. The Cleveland Indians just won 20 games in a row. That hasn't happened since the Moneyball squad of the A's. It's not even realistic, though. It's crazy. Also, hockey is ready to come back. I am pretty excited for that. Seriously, though, I am stoked for some NHL to be back. I will talk hockey on my podcast. I know a lot of sports radio people normally leave hockey's like the black sheep of the 4 major sports, but I feel like I have a good knowledge of the game. I follow it a lot. I have NHL Game Center, so I end up watching a lot of West Coast games when I'm just laying in bed at night. That start at 10:30. There's a good amount of them. I know a lot about the players. I know a lot about the teams. I just feel like as a sports fan, hockey normally gets left out of everything. But, I mean, I listen to Philly sports radio all the time, and it truly is football. Majority of the time, all Eagles. This year, we're probably moving to a little bit more Sixers, but I mean, they never talk about the Phillies unless it's Rhys Hoskins, who is killing it, by the way. And the Flyers really don't get much love. Like, I didn't listen to sports radio back in 2010, but I am just curious to see if I could go back in time and find tapes of Mikey Miss, Ant Gargano, all these guys in 2010 when the Flyers were in the Stanley Cup. Like, did they wake up that morning and the music was playing and their intro was, man, the Flyers didn't do it tonight, or the Flyers won tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals? Like, what was it like? Did they talk about it, or were they like, oh, in minicamp, or minicamp starting, or the draft is coming up, or anything like that? What was it like? Were they pumped for the Flyers to be in the Stanley Cup Final? I'm sure they were, and I'm sure they were obviously talking about it, but to what extent? Were there 3 Eagles callers to 1 Flyers call when it came to the Stanley Cup playoffs or the Eastern Conference Finals or anything like that? That was the year where the Bruins were up 3-0. The Flyers came back to win the series, being down 3-0. Then in Game 7, they were down 3-0, and they won 4-3. Come on, there had to have been hype around those sports radio calls then. There had to have been. If not, I'd be really disappointed. Maybe I don't want to know. Because if there wasn't anything being talked about, then I would be kind of upset about it. But, yeah, no, I'm excited, though, because I started this podcast off when it was all the dry sports times. And here we go. We are starting to crush it. We are starting to get into it. Now, my schedule is picking up a little bit because we started our captain skates. We started our lifts for hockey, and it's only going to get busier classes, homework's picking up, but I will be finding time to do this. I will not be giving up on this, and I will continue as hard as I can to get this going and to continue this for everyone who enjoys it. So with that being said, I am going to end this episode. Another one is in the books. We got football coming up on Saturday, football coming up on Sunday. I will be taking my notes, and I will be back with another episode. I realize I've been doing episodes on Fridays because I'm off of classes, but for some reason, which it kind of makes sense, the weekend episodes don't get as much love as the weekday episodes because people listen on their ride to work, when they're driving. Weekend, people are doing things, and I get it. So I'm really trying to figure out a good schedule and see where it leads me to. I would like to do 3 times a week, but for some reason, that weekend time is kind of questionable. I'll have to think about it and just trial and error, to be honest with you. But I'll figure something out. I will not be giving up on this. I will continue to do it even with the busy schedule. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it, and we will be back next time. Go Eagles.